So in a recent live event, I did taught him how to do the mounting block at Liberty. And this is just the first time I've asked him to do it since that day. And I'm pretty impressed with how good he is. My wiggling my left hand is just to kind of say, you're not here yet, you're not here yet, you're not here yet. My other hand, my right hand, is still snapping to say, come on, come over. And then I accept that. He's such a good boy. So it's very important not to practice the things that are going wrong too many times, because then you can create a pattern. And by practicing the wrong thing too many times, what you can do is teach the horse that you thought it was the right thing. You teach them that they think it's the right thing. So instead, just go back a step, put them back online, because what was happening here is Dewey was deciding to play a little bit of a Labrador Retriever game with me, right? Like a dog with a ball in his mouth, and he'd run at you like, I'm coming with the ball, and then he'd, take a jukey step towards you and then run off like, ha 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 ha, chase me, chase me. So that's kind of what he was doing, and it was not going to become a good thing to encourage. So I decided it was time to put him back online. And when you do that, uh, you just kind of remind him that no, that's not exactly what I was hoping to do. Let me show you and remind you of what I was hoping to do. So we went back online. I showed him how urgent it really was for him to come to me when I needed him to come to me, and there was his reminder. Then what I go ahead and do is I kind of add the steps to it that I want at Liberty. So like, I want him to come to me at a trot. I want him to eventually come to me at a canter, and I want him to come to me every time he hears me stomp up on that mounting block. Like, I want him to go, ooh, you're up there. I better hurry up and come. And I need it to feel urgent. I need it to feel like come in that speed. So that's why if you see, I have kind of a sense of urgency. Like, as soon as I stepped on the mounting block, I started orchestrating him to come to the mounting block now. And then once he's there, you provide him with as much quiet as humanly possible. So that way he knows that the chaos is when I'm not where you want me to be. And then once I'm where you want me to be, that's the calm defined. Okay, so this is the mirroring exercise. So what I want him to do is I want him to stay with me without me having to give him any physical guidance. I want him to follow my body language. So if I slightly lean back, I want him to back up. If I walk straight forward, I want him to move forward with me with a slight lean forward. Now here he's going to go past me, and he doesn't understand that he was supposed to stop when I stopped, even though I said ho. So I could create a little chaos to get him right back up between me and that fence, and then I stop. And then he learns that there's a place to be. It kind of helps him define that sweet spot of being right beside me. Then I continue to say, now I'd like you to back up. Then I'm going to put my hand forward. I'm going to slightly lean forward. That's my way of telling him we are going. Then I'm going to walk just normal. Then I'm going to stand straight up for the hoe. I was able to catch him this time to not pass me. Then once he's fully hoed, then I'm going to give him a slight lean back in my body, and that's going to tell him that I want him to back up. This will translate into the saddle as well. So when you lean slightly forward in your saddle, it tells the horse to walk on or trot on or canter on. And then when you sit neutral, it tells them they're doing the right thing. And then when you lean back slightly, it's to downward transition or hoe or even back up. So here we just practice this quite a bit in the walk. And then eventually I'd say, you know what? I don't hold him back. So if he's managing to do this pretty well at the walk, then I go ahead and I ask for it at the trot. Okay, so I usually start them with a bareback pad, mainly because I want it to be a little bit more than a saddle pad because it's got things hanging off of it. It's got a tiny bit of weight to it, nothing dramatic, but it does kind of grab them as I pull it off where a saddle pad might not. The idea is just to get him used to me flinging it on him on one side and pulling it off of him on the other side and letting him feel those straps run across his body, letting him see it, letting him smell it, touching him across the back with it, running it down over his butt, actually bringing it up even to his ears and even over his head. And then just to get him to where he doesn't really have much response or reaction to it at all. And then there'll be a day you just bring out a saddle and it can be a process that doesn't affect him. Okay, so I run this in kind of fast forward because I figure you don't need to watch the actual walking step by step as I ground drive him from the saddle position. So what I'm doing is I'm mock riding him. I'm putting pressure across his back with my arm. I'm swinging my arm so he feels my arm on the other side. So I'm touching him, I'm squeezing him between my arm and my body, letting him know what it feels like to have somebody on top of him. And then I'm just asking him to walk around and be steered by the reins with me from that position, asking him to move out from in front of me as if I was in the saddle, and then just asking him to follow some guidance by the rein cues, letting him see each side of me, or letting him see me on each side of him. So there, you just saw me flop the ends of the reins. So when I collect my reins, there's always, extra rein, and you always flop it off to one side or the other. Instead of using a whip, a crop, spurs incorrectly, I use the end of the line like that, and I flop it just annoyingly from one side to the other and just kind of make chaos, and that's enough to drive a horse forward. This kid cracks me up. He kept running by me like I would equate it with a Labrador retriever with a ball in his mouth going, "Come get me! You want the ball? Come get me! Come on, come get me!" Watch. He cracks me up. He knew he was cracking me up too. He just kept doing it back and forth, back and forth. Did it several times. He's such a joy to work with. So, as cute as that was, it was time to interrupt that pattern and not tell him that's a fun game to play. So, I just went back, put him online, and said, "Look, this is what I've been trying to get you to do. Come to me at the mounting block. No, don't leave the mounting block." So, when they leave like that on their own without me giving them the okay cue, I make it very uncomfortable until they're right back where they should have stayed. So you make that the best place for them to be, the calmest place for them to be, and when they do anything that's not, if they walk away or they don't come up enough or whatever, you want to make sure that you keep kind of in a high energy, a high chaotic energy, and then as soon as they get to that spot, that sweet spot, that spot where you want them, that's when you release your energy and you just go calm. So I don't do any fancy kind of long lining with horses. I don't use surcingles. I don't run the lines through the stirrups of a saddle or anything like that. I teach them to allow me to flop the rope up over their back as we make the next turn. I do it for teaching them about being driven from the saddle position. So, like, I'm going to try to stay in the saddle position, and then I'm going to fall back and ask him to let me throw the left rope over his back and use the right rope to steer. And ideally, I want him to continue moving. I want it to kind of have a little bit of a flow. Now, he's never seen this before. So he's asking me questions like, "Am I done? Am I done?" Because he thinks more of like a lunging circle, even though he doesn't know that either. But that's kind of the concept he's trying to figure out. So what my mistake at first was is I kept getting ahead of the drive line, which was then causing him to turn and face me. All I'm trying to do now is just tell him to, get moving ahead of me so I can stay. There we go. So I can stay back in the saddle position. Because he kept turning and facing me, it was a little difficult at first to get him to understand I need you to go out out ahead of me. There you go. There you go. And once they start getting a cadence to their feet, then we can start working. But if he keeps asking questions in his feet, which is those hesitation steps, him continuing to keep his head facing me. So now my goal would be is to continue to encourage him to not keep turning into me with his head. So I'm going to communicate a little bit to his head. So here I'm just showing him what it would be like to have me flop it along his body. I want him to also be able to handle kind of that stimulation. And then by doing that, I also help myself get the rope to the other side. So it was kind of a twofold exercise there, flopping the rope on his back, down his back, and to the other side, and helping him figure out that none of that needs to be scary. Once I fall back, I want to try to keep a flow. He actually gets this quite well. He gets it pretty easily to the point to where he almost makes it look like it's a lot easier than it is. It's really not as easy as he's making it look. I know that right now he's still kind of in the I'm not sure what you want me to do stage. However, even this good is better than most workout in the beginning. So I lost my audio when I did do this as a live. I lost all my audio, and if you still had my audio, it would be telling you that I can't believe how easy he's making this look. So if you were to decide to set out to do some ground driving in this kind of fashion, I want to say this, I don't know that this is an actual technique anybody uses the way I do, but I mean, I've seen like kind of like surcingles and bridles and fancy stuff for horses that are being ground driven or long lined, and that's not how I do it or what I do it for. I'm just doing it to help educate a young horse about driving out in front of me, but yet responding to my steering aids. So, like I said, he's just making it look easy. Expect a horse to always turn and face you like he was in the beginning, but expect that to last a lot longer than how he did it. Because now he's just starting to ask questions. He's not actually trying to turn in and talk to me anymore. He's just turning his head to ask, and then he's ready for me to tell him. So see, he turned and asked me, and then I was there to tell him, yeah, I need you to keep going forward. And he didn't turn and face and go, but are you sure? Are you sure? Because sometimes he'll turn and face you like he was in the beginning, like, are you sure? Because I don't really think that's what you mean. He kind of said, yeah, I believe you. I guess that's what we're supposed to be doing. So I'm really proud of him in this exercise. He made it really, really easy to get through this. And unfortunately, he also made it look really easy. I don't think I've ever had a horse do it quite so easily. Like, I could have brought out a bunch of obstacles and asked him to start steering through intricate turns and things like that, and I would have been very successful with him in doing that. But I decided I wanted to do something else instead, so I did quit after we just got this mastered, and then we went on to do something else. But I'm very, very, very proud of him. Okay, so here is something really interesting that happened today that I'm super, super excited. I got inspired to try to do a game with him that I had not done with him yet. He's never even seen the barrels before, so this is an example of just how cool he is. He's just like, ooh, cool, barrels. Um, What I do is I flip the barrels up on their flat side. So I don't put them on that rounded side. So one side's rounded, and that's not the side that usually has kind of like the lid clamp on it. And then you have the flat side, that's the side that usually has the lid clamp on it. So that's what I'm describing there. If you put it with the rounded side down, then you become like a weeble wobble, and you do fall down. So hopefully this is a good view of this. I'm going to have to introduce him to a couple different elements. So he knows the over. That's pretty much the only element he knows about this exercise. He doesn't know about squeezing between two barrels. So when you first started out, you put the barrels kind of a good distance apart in case the squeeze is concerning. And I'm going to ask him to back between the two barrels just to give him the experience of backing between the two barrels. And making sure that he understands that that's what's being asked of him, guiding him by his tail. So I'm steering him by his tail, telling his tail which way to nose in there, if you will. Once he understands how to back between the barrels, then I have to explain to him about backing from me being behind him, because ultimately I'm going to be standing on top of those barrels, and he's going to be doing a circle around me, like a lunging circle. And then I'm going to stop him, and I'm going to ask him to turn, point his tail under like between the barrels under me, and then he's going to back between the barrels under me. So I have to be able to explain that to him and communicate that to him from a distance. So he now needs to learn how to back up from me more behind him. So I'm going to explain, well, I guess I'm going to go ahead and show him backing through there a few more times maybe. Sorry. I lost all my audio, so I'm just trying to catch up by narrating. Okay, so now I'm going to show him from further behind him what I want him to do. So this is also going to help him from when I'm riding him, learning the backup cue from the saddle position. Okay, I'm going to give him a little bit tighter of a squeeze, because eventually I need them close enough that I can put one foot on each. So he has to figure out how to squeeze between those. So I'm going to go ahead and show him again to back up between those, feel them, bump into them, whatever. Navigate from the bump. I want him to be able to bump into one and then realize, oh no, I'm too close to that one. I better change my position a little bit. So here I'm just giving him a break, letting him kind of digest what I've done. I'm going to go ahead and step on one barrel and see if I can't communicate to him from there. I don't think I make him go in a circle. And I'm just going to ask him to over as if I'm on the mounting block. He understands that. But I'm going to over guide his face away. So I'm going to try to get his face to turn more towards the camera, I guess, than where he would normally have his face pointed. And that'll help him understand how much of his tail needs to move. And then once his tail is positioned properly, I'm going to go ahead and start my backup cue, which is about 2 seconds now. I should start to ask him to back up. And then I'm going to do that as, yep, there's that first bump. He bumped into the barrel and was able to navigate himself more clear of the barrel. Good. Now, that's that one. And then I think I'm going to go ahead and ask him to go out on the circle I think I'm going to get him out and away from there first. And then I'm going to go ahead and get back up there. And I'm going to ask him to do a lunging circle and come in from a lunging circle. The reason I didn't stay up on the barrel and then try to send him out this time was because I needed him to understand that all that coming over is still something that means something to you in another concept, like when I'm on the mounting block. So now I'm probably going to tell him to go out on that circle. I'm going to ask him to do it this way one more time. Sorry, I'm watching it with you. Okay, so I'm not going to tell him to go out on the circle yet. I'm just going to have him do it this way one more time. Again, I have to get his nose away. There. Now, I paused for a second because he got a little offended by how much I had to communicate to his nose. So I had to pause there and say, you're right, you're right. Again, tell your nose to go away, your tail. Now, I gotta be real careful and wait. Say, it's okay, you're okay, I want you to back. So he's a little bit confused because of how I've had to over-direct his nose. Good. Now I'm going to, once I get that back up step, so I'm going to just ask for over. He needs to over. Move your nose away, over, yep, yep. So I'm like narrating it as if I'm actually watching it again in person. So I'm trying to tell his nose to go away and his tail to come over. Because he's having such a hard time, there's going to be a lot more pauses. The more pauses you take when they struggle, the better you kind of communicate, you're right. So this pause is just to say, you're right, you're on the right page. Now I'm going to gently ask for a backup, and I'm probably only going to look for one backup step, which is that front foot, and then I'm going to pause again. You're right, you're on the backup page. Once I believe he's truly on the backup page, then I can ask much more insistently there, and now I should be able to just ask for the backup. Like now that he's navigated himself between there, I should be able to just say, okay, now keep backing up. There you go. Keep backing up. You're right. You're right. Yep. There you go. Yep. You're right. You're right. Good. And that's kind of how I would narrate to him as well. Like, you're right. You're right. Good. 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 Like I say good and yes a lot for my horses so that they know for sure. And I needed him to back clear out of there because once I'm standing on those barrels, if he were to stop with his head just still between the barrels, that would mean he stopped with his head under me still. And then I run the risk of him flipping his head up, knocking me over, panicking, having a complete meltdown. We don't want any of that. So I'm telling him how great he is. And then I'm going to say, how about you try going out on the circle from here? Good job. Right? I'm going to have him go all the way around. I want him to kind of get a little cadence to his step. Like here, he's like, now. And I was like, no, keep going, keep going. Nope, 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 nope. Keep going, keep going, keep going. Now you have to be real careful not to make him wrong for that effort. So now in a second, he should get kind of a cadence to his step. 1, 2, there we go. Little confidence movement. Now I'm going to say, hey, I need you to stop right there. Good. I need you to bring your tail over. Wait, get your head the other way. Head, head, head. Good. Tail. Yep, yep, yep. Good. And back. Back. Okay. So now I was like, wow, he did that so well. Like that was like he's been doing it, and I need him to understand he needs to keep going all the way through those barrels. He can't stop with his head between the barrels. I'm so impressed with him that I can't believe that he did it that well. Having never done this before, never seen this before, I can't believe he did it that well. I'm like, I wonder. And that's why I moved the barrels closer. It's going to make it a tighter squeeze for him, but it's also going to make it close enough for me to actually straddle both barrels. Once I can straddle both barrels, I'm going to give this a try. And I don't know if I've ever, certainly not in this kind of time frame, I might have done a barrel game to its completion in one session. I don't think that's something I haven't managed to do, but I've never done it this quickly. Ritz, I think, took 13 minutes. I don't know how long this piece of the video is, but Ritz took 13 minutes to learn how to do it at Liberty. So he had to do it online first. But he also knew all this other stuff. He knew how to circle from me above. He knew how to back up. He knew how to do all that thing from all the different angles. So Dewey's learning every element of this right now. And I kept mentioning, like, did I mention he's only 18 months old? So now I'm telling him, hey, there you go. Now, go ahead, get a little cadence to your step. Good, there's a little confidence there in the way he's walking. He's like, okay. Yep, I don't know if I send him completely around again because he was confused. Well, I do ask him, I say, okay, come on, you can try. Good. Now, he's 18 months old, mind you, so he's never seen me in a saddle position. He's never seen me in a above him, straddling him position. This is a huge risk I'm taking, that he's never seen this before, right? But I'm like, come on, we can do this. Now watch, this is so awesome. He's so cool. He's such a good little horse. So now I have to be real careful because if I cause him to panic with me standing on each barrel and he rams one or the other. I'm on my butt. So this is a more like, you can do this, kind of patient and, you know, I just love that he's such a good little boy. Watch him. I'm telling him, yep, you're right. Now remember, me being about to be like sitting on him without actually putting weight on him is the first time he's ever going to experience that. I'm just offering him as much encouragement as I possibly can. And then I'm going to say, okay, you got this. You got this. Back. That pause was to say, yep, that backup step was the right thought. And then watch, he'll get to where he's like, oh yeah, I know that. Ready? This is just to encourage him, like, it's okay. Me back here is nothing to be concerned about. It's going to be fine. Good job. And then I tell him, all right, let's try this. This is probably not the narration you actually want for this video, but I'm just so proud of this little horse. He's such a cool little horse. So smart. And this is important. Like, don't get impatient, right? Like right now, you would probably like think I should be like, come on, do it, right? But no, I'm like giving him these pauses. I'm being a cheerleader for him. I'm letting him know that, yes, you are right. These are good decisions here. And yes, you are going to go under me. What a good guy. I'm going to help him, navigate his head. I'm like in my glory. I'm like, woohoo! What an awesome little horse. Oh my gosh, I can't believe how awesome he is. Such a good boy.